This video covers the installation of the Torqtite Bottom Bracket for PF30 Bottom Bracket shells with the GXP crankset. Contents of the PF30 to GXP Bottom Bracket include Torqtite cups, Torqtite cup O-rings, the Torqtite cup spacer, outer bearing seals, 1.5 mil drive side crank spacer, 1 millimeter drive side crank spacer, 1.5 millimeter non-drive crank spacer, and a 24 millimeter to 22 millimeter GXP reducer. The compatible tools for installation of the Torqtite cups are the BBT-001, BBT-015, or the Torqtite wrenches. You will also need a BRT-001 or correct size bearing drift and press to install the GXP reducer. Press in the GXP reducer. The GXP reducer must be pressed in from the back side of the non-drive bearing. It is important the GXP reducer is pressed in evenly and not at an angle. Inspect the bearing and reducer. Make sure the shoulder of the reducer is seated against the bearing. If the fitment of the Torqtite cups is too loose in the bottom bracket shell, use the supplied O-rings. Grease the threads of the Torqtite cups. Press the drive side cup into the bottom bracket shell. Install the Torqtite cup spacer on the non-drive cup. Tighten the Torqtite cups together. Use caution not to over-tighten and potentially damage the frame. Install the wave washer, the 1.5 millimeter and 1 millimeter drive side crank spacer onto the crank. The wave washer should be installed facing the crank. Grease the backside of the outer bearing seal. Install the seal on the crank spindle with the greased side facing the bearing. Install the drive side crank arm into the bottom bracket. Grease the back side of the non-drive seal. Place the seal with the greased side facing the bearing. Install the 1.5 millimeter non-drive crank spacer onto the crank spindle. Install the non-drive crank arm onto the crank spindle. Torque the non-drive crank arm to the manufacturer's recommended torque specification. Check the crank arms for any play. If there is play, use one of the supplied 0.5mm or 1mm Delrin shims to remove excess play. Remove the crankset, install the shim on the drive side.